With a worldwide resurgence through a social media video in 2020, British-American rock band Fleetwood Mac are back and in our minds. But let's not forget, Fleetwood Mac sucks. Formed in 1967, the band would play under an original lineup led by guitarist Peter Green. Fast forward a few years to 1974 and this band would look completely different. Original drummer Mick Fleetwood was still around and knew the band desperately needed to find a new male guitarist and male singer. What did he do? Fleetwood went around recording studios in Los Angeles looking for talent. The rest is history. Fleetwood stumbled upon the American folk rock duo Buckingham Nicks, consisting of course, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Later that year, Fleetwood would ask Buckingham to join the band, and Lindsey said sure, but on one condition. Stevie, his partner and girlfriend at the time, had to be included in the deal. It was a 2-for-1 package. This is fantastic news, right? Under the new lineup of Fleetwood, Buckingham, Nicks, bassist John McVie, and John's wife Christy, Fleetwood Mac was back with a new, much more pop rock sound than the previous blues rock of the past. In 1975, the first year of the new lineup, their self-titled album Fleetwood Mac topped the Billboard 200 chart in the US. Their next and most commercially successful album, Rumors, released in 1977, remaining #1 on the Billboard 200 for 31 weeks and included 4 US top 10 singles. Fleetwood Mac was on fire. Things internally between the band, however, were in turmoil. Buckingham and Nicks had reportedly been fighting for a few years even before joining Fleetwood Mac, working through a struggling relationship while also trying to make it big. When the Fleetwood Mac gig arose, despite not being in great standing relationship-wise, the duo knew they had to capitalize on this opportunity. During an interview with Gold Dust Woman, Nicks said of joining the band, "I said, okay, this is what we've been working for since 1968. And so, Lindsey, you and I have to sew this relationship back up. We have too much to lose here. We need to put our problems behind us. Maybe we're not going to have any more problems because we're finally going to have some money. And I won't have to be an effing waitress." So let's actually get into one of the songs from the band's iconic Rumors album. Let's start with Go Your Own Way, the band's first top 10 hit in the US. This song was written by Buckingham to girlfriend Stevie Nicks, quite literally telling her to go her own way. He was breaking up with her, for good. Buckingham wrote the song on tour in between stops at a Florida house, which Mick Fleetwood remembered had a distinctly bad vibe to it, as if it were haunted, which did nothing to help matters. When Buckingham presented the raw version of the song to the band's producer, the producer noted, "Lindsey was beating his guitar as hard as he could and screaming his lungs out. The first time I heard it, I thought, what the heck is going on? It sounded so non-musical. I didn't know if anything would come from it." What makes this song and this group singing it so unique is that it's quite literally the story of a disintegrated love. But it's their love. Buckingham is literally looking into the eyes of his now ex-girlfriend, telling her it's over, and has to do this on a nightly basis. To make it even worse, she has to sing it too. Oof. I'm not gonna sing it, but here's a sample lyric. "Tell me why everything turned around. Packing up, shacking up is all you wanna do." Ouch. Imagine writing a song like that about somebody and then having to perform it with that person every single night. Not great. But you see, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were not the only romantic members of Fleetwood Mac, and definitely not the only ones having romantic problems. Bassist John McVie and wife Christy were also fighting, and while recording Rumors, were finalizing their divorce. And even if that wasn't enough, just before the recordings for Rumors began, drummer Mick Fleetwood will become aware that his wife, and mother of 2 children, was having an affair with his close friend, and would file for divorce. Just to add to the convolutedness of the band, Fleetwood and Nicks would even have a short-lived affair. But anyway, all 5 members of Fleetwood Mac were going through some serious emotional trauma. "We had to go through this elaborate exercise of denial," Buckingham once told Blender magazine, "keeping our personal feelings in one corner of the room while trying to be professional in the other. What was going on between us was sad. We were couples who couldn't make it through, but as musicians, we still respected each other." That was quote Stevie Nicks. How does one often cope with immense emotional trauma, especially when you have to look at that trauma in the face every single day? Drugs and alcohol. The drugs and alcohol were abundant during this time for the band. As the emotional tolls kept building, the drug dependence to keep focused increased. Stevie Nicks once told Mojo magazine in 2012 about the time, "You felt so bad about what was happening that you did a line just to cheer yourself up." The band's cocaine use was reportedly so rampant, they even considered thanking their dealer in the credits on the album. But they didn't get the chance because he passed away before the album came out. Maybe in a weird, convoluted way, the emotional turmoil, trauma, infighting, and constant roller coaster of events was the very thing that made this band great. Fleetwood Mac earned their spot in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998, but are not currently active and don't seem to have any plans to announce a new tour. It is admirable the band was able to put aside their differences and continue to perform for their thousands of fans and make great music, even while they could barely stand to look each other in the face. But one can't help but imagine what could have been if this band actually liked each other. Relationship problems, drug dependencies, and constant infighting. That is why Fleetwood Mac sucks.